what's up, y'all? This is Bo Beach. This is the Free Speech Podcast where we are going to present to you current events in the commercial real estate business here in Nashville. We'll touch upon business, politics, and occasionally sports. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the topics we're going to cover today. We're going to start with Nashville's tallest tower, recently rebranded Paramount. I'm going to tell you that story. Next, we're going to talk about a new commercial real estate user, another pickleball user, Utah-based, with some interesting concepts that are taking a lot of space. I'll talk you through that. Next, I want to update you on an interesting project called Rock Harbor, which is Nashville's only full-service marina on the Cumberland River. It was recently purchased. There is a large-scale redevelopment happening there. They've recently gotten some approvals on that. I'm going to bring you up to date on that project. Then we'll talk about the East Bank Scrapyard site, right? So this is a recycling business located very near Nissan Stadium, rather. It's always been an eyesore. It's always been a focus of Metro to get that property under new ownership so it can be redeveloped. There are now buyers actively pursuing that site. I'm going to catch you up to date on that. I'm going to tell you about a private golf club in 12South. So if you know 12South, there's not a whole lot of land there. How in the world could a private golf club open on 12South? I'll tell you that story. Lastly, we're going to talk about a new theme whereby country music stars are attaching their name to bars, not on Broadway, right? So you've got a growing theme where we've got lesser known country music stars attaching their names to bars away from Broadway. I'm going to bring you up to date on where that stands. So that's what we're going to cover today. Maybe we'll mix in a little bit of politics. I'm kind of burnt out on politics right now. Just the state of this country is exhausting and depressing and worrisome, and I'm just not sure I'm up to it today. We'll see. By the time we get to the end, maybe I'll give you some political thoughts of my own. I'm not sure I've got it in me. So let's just get started with the commercial real estate stuff today, guys. Paramount, Tennessee's tallest tower. 3 years after announcing his most ambitious project to date, Tony Giartana is rebranding his 60-story tower, now to be called Paramount. When asked why he chose that name, "We were drawn to the name Paramount because the tower will be the tallest in Nashville's skyline and because it evokes an overwhelmingly positive feeling." I get that. Paramount does have a positive feeling to it. It feels big and grand and positive. This tower will rise at 1010 Church Street. It was conceived when Giartana responded to a request for a proposal, known as an RFP in the commercial real estate business, to renovate the downtown YMCA facility with the opportunity to redevelop a portion of the larger property. Giartana paid $26 million for the 0.71 acre site in 2022. The tower will offer 360 apartments, 140 condos, and 517 parking spaces. The project also includes a 5-story, 60,000 square foot addition to the YMCA. The $390 million development will have 2 amenity levels. The 9th floor will feature a residential lounge, demonstration kitchen, private dining room, fitness room, and game room with billiards table, as well as a pool area with cabanas and grilling stations. The 40th level will be dedicated to condo amenities, including a lounge and bar area, 25-seat private dining room, and a catering kitchen. The Paramount site is currently being excavated and construction is scheduled to begin later this year, expected to be complete in 2027. Can you imagine managing a multi-$100 million development that's going to be under construction for 3 or 4 years? Can you imagine what the cash flows look like? How scary that would be. All of this money going out, none of it coming back in for years. You have to have big cojones to take on a project even close to this magnitude. Paramount will be Giordano's first new condos in a decade. Nearby, Giordano opened the 34-story alcove apartment tower in May and is nearing completion of the 38-story prime apartment tower. The veteran developer shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. He recently landed a permit for a 33-story tower near Tennessee State University's downtown campus and revealed plans for a 17-story apartment tower on Elliston Place earlier this week. That guy has got guts. He's got good banking relationships, he's got good equity investors, and he's got a whole lot of guts. Those are massive, massive projects. I get a little bit anxious just thinking about what those cash flows look like. Let's keep moving. A Utah-based pickleball club details 2 new Nashville locations. The franchise, so this is a franchise, will open 2 Nashville clubs by December of this year, known as Pickler, P-I-C-K-L-R. I don't know about that name. I'm not sure I'm feeling that name, but no one asked me. The Pickler Nashville South will be located in 55,000 square feet at 3040 Sitco Drive. It will have 16 pickleball courts. Could you imagine paying the rent on 55,000 square feet on Sitco, which is not cheap, and have to make all of your revenue to cover those expenses from just 16 pickleball courts? I'd be scared to death. The Pickler West Nashville will be 53,000 square feet with just 13 courts and be located in the Nations at 1111 63rd Avenue North. Both locations will have a private event space, tournaments, and full pro shop. Tap That Sports will also be at both spots, offering HD sports simulators, a self-pour beer tap wall, and full food menu. Bringing the Pickler to Nashville means that the thriving pickleball community in Tennessee will now have access to the most elevated and unparalleled indoor pickleball experience offered anywhere. The Pickler state-of-the-art clubs, inclusive of one-price memberships, optimal play environment, and diverse programs for all ages and skill levels, make the Pickler your best club of choice. So this is a membership model, right? So you've got 55,000 and 53,000 square feet that you are going to pay for by selling memberships. I would be real concerned about, okay, if I sell 1,000 memberships for 16 courts or 13 courts, how hard is it going to be to get on a court, right? It just doesn't seem like many courts to me. Last September, the Pickler announced it would bring 5 locations to the Nashville area over the next 5 years. There are over 200 the Pickler locations across the country, with 300 more slated to open at the end of 2026. So a rapidly expanding franchise in the pickleball space, taking up big blocks of vacancy around Nashville. I hope it works. I would love to see more commercial users that can take down big blocks of space like they are planning to do. Let's keep moving. Let's talk about Nashville's only full-service marina, known as Rock Harbor. The development team planning to update West Davidson County's Rock Harbor Marina has landed a key metro approval and is hoping to begin work on the initial phase of the project by year's end. They received what's called specific plan zoning, right? So a lot of people know what rezoning is, right? So zoning is what tells you how you can use the property, right? The government designates a zoning for a parcel of land, and that zoning tells the owner how they can use that land. Like it or not, that's the system. Now, if you want to use the land differently than what it's zoned, you need to rezone it. But rather than rezoning it to a specific existing zoning code, if you will, what's more popular in Nashville is what's called specific plan rezoning, whereby you build out an entire concept for that site, and you go in front of the board and you pitch your specific concept, and then they approve your specific concept rather than just changing the zoning for the property. So you can overcome zoning issues more often when you are getting in front of the board and pitching a specific plan. And then they are approving that specific plan rather than giving you a new zoning code and allow you just to design your concept within the confines of that code. So that's real popular in Nashville. So that's a tool that developers are using to their advantage and have for a long time. The Rock Harbor Marina is recognized in part for its Blue Moon waterfront grill. All right, let's keep on topic with the SP zoning, because I think this is insightful and this is important for anyone that aspires to develop land in Nashville. SP zone property is not subject to the conventional land use and design standards that would otherwise be the case. Instead, permitted uses and design elements like height, size, setbacks, buffers, signage, and materials are determined for this specific development. The SP zoning will allow Prescott Group flexibility related to the parking, boater amenities, and dock infrastructure, retail spaces, and long-term possibly a multifamily residential component it envisions. Nashville's only full-service marina facility located directly on the Cumberland River, this property currently has 150 boat slips. The buyer paid $8.15 million for the property in December of 2021. Rock Harbor Marina is slated to see the construction of boat slips ranging in size from 30 to 55 feet to encourage greater boating and dockside activity. Right? So they've got existing slips, they're adding more to accommodate different size vessels. Blue Moon Waterfront Grill opened in the 1980s and then closed due to the flood of 2010. It was rebuilt in 2012 on a floating platform docked at the marina. The restaurant and bar opened in March for the current season. So that's what's up with Rock Harbor. You know, it's not a real impressive property as it sits today, but it's the best available for anyone that is serious about boating on the Cumberland. It's going to get much, much more impressive, including potentially a multifamily development in the future. So Rock Harbor Marina is going to get way cooler. Even if you don't have a boat, if you just want to go to the restaurant there and hang out, it's going to be a much cooler scene in West Nashville. All right, let's talk about the East Bank Scrapyard site, right? This has been a pain in the side of Metro government for a long time, and we're seemingly getting close to a solution. The owner of the property fielded offers from multiple creditable buyers for its land over the last 6 months. The owner, known as Carl Icahn, a notorious investor, he owns 45 acres on the East Bank, which represents one of several major puzzle pieces in Metro's expansive vision for revitalizing a swath of riverfront opposite downtown in Germantown. The scrap recycling site is bemoaned as an eyesore. It's also a very prized property, obviously. Mayors and governors have tried for the last quarter century to figure out a way to relocate the scrapyard and free that land for development. Icon Enterprises had a framework deal in place when Mayor John Cooper took office in fall 2019, but the two sides hit a stalemate. In February, the Titans broke ground on the new stadium, construction that makes change on the East Bank visible instead of theoretical. The new venue on a site next to the existing stadium is set to open in 2027. In April, Metro finalized an agreement with Boston-based The Fallon Company to build mixed-use development on 30 acres of neighboring city-owned land. So 30 acres This is a massive, massive development next to the new Titan Stadium. The Scrapyard site, 45 acres, even bigger than this massive development. So this is going to be a life-altering transformation around this stadium, right? This is going to be one of the it neighborhoods in Nashville once these projects get cooking. Fallon's first residential building is planned on a site between the new stadium and the northern end of the Scrapyard. Icon Enterprises sold its scrap metal business, PSC Metals, to SA Recycling in fall of 2021, but Icon held on to the East Bank land, leasing it to SA Recycling under terms that are not public. On October 7th, the Business Journal reported that SA Recycling acquired a West Nashville riverfront property for $16 million. SA Recycling has been leasing that site but now owns it. The company has also been scaling back activity at its East Bank operation, moving all shredding activity to the West Nashville site. Quote from the Chief Operating Officer of SA Recycling. I won't speak to our long-term strategy or big picture plans in Nashville, but I will say we have long recognized that a shredding operation on the East Bank is not desirable. Right? So do you see what's happening here? They are moving the recycling business away from the East Bank to a site that they recently acquired for their long-term use. At the same time, credible buyers are making a run at purchasing this 45 acres. So I don't think the average person fully comprehends the magnitude of the projects happening around the stadium. It is going to be truly transformational what is happening there. You know, there's not a whole lot of reason to go to that area unless you're going to a game. That is no longer going to be the case 5 years from now. It is going to be a cool, bustling, live, work, play neighborhood. And I think it's going to be much cooler than the average person even recognizes at this point. All right, let's talk about golf. I'm not a golfer. You know, no one ever taught me to golf. I have no free time, so I don't know how I would ever learn to golf. But nevertheless, I think this is a business story worth sharing. A private golf club is entering 12South. And if I were you, I'd be scratching my head and think, where is there enough land in 12South for a golf club? Atlanta-based in-town golf club eyes a summer 2025 opening, so they're going to be open a year from now. The Nashville location will have 8 simulator bays and golf lounges using TrackMan technology, a full food and beverage program, a great room with fireplace, a record collection and turntable, steam room, locker rooms, and a private dining area. So this is a golf club with simulators, right? There's no actual golf course. It's all indoors. In-town brands itself as an exclusive yet inviting retreat to host meetings, social events, grab a post-work drink, or get some swings in any time of the day. We think most cities in America need more accessible golf options and new ways to discover the game. And we have all the golf elements green grass facilities have, just indoors, and within a beautiful space that puts a real emphasis on design and amenities. At the end of the day, we strive to be a club that prides itself on a high level of service and a unique membership community, something all the great clubs in the world have. The Nashville In-Town Golf Club location will be 13,000 square feet. So I think that's really cool. I bet that works, you know. For people within 10 minutes of that location that love to golf, that don't have time, that love the idea of a private club, a hang spot. You know, I was a member of a private club for much of my adult life until I had too many children and got too busy to even use it. But I do understand the appeal of a private club, and I think that business is going to work. I would bet money on the golf concept working before I would bet money on the pickleball concept working from a profitability standpoint. I'm sure there'll be demand from both, but Unless you turn a profit, really, what have you accomplished? So I'm betting on the golf concept over the pickleball concept in terms of profitability. We shall see. And lastly, let's round out today's show with a talk about country music bars. Country music star Riley Green teams up with a Nashville bar. And I'll admit, I didn't know who Riley Green was. Maybe you don't either. I'm going to catch you up on who he is and what they're doing. The Alabama-born hitmaker appears to be involved in the revamp of Winners Bar and Grill, located at 1913 Division Street in Midtown, seemingly combining his passions for music and duck hunting. To be named Riley Green's Duck Blind. In March, Winners announced via social media that they were closing for a facelift and reopening later this year. The singer is no stranger to Winners and next door bar Losers. Oh, that's fun. Winners next to Losers. That'd be real interesting to see who chooses the Winners bar and who chooses the Losers bar. For if it's me, 100 times out of 100, I'm going in Winners. I don't know about y'all. Some people self-identify with the Losers. I know people like that. I don't understand it, but for whatever reason, they have a lifelong identification with the Losers. Not me. I'm going in Winners, but I don't drink or go to bars, so I'm not the one to ask. So he put on a surprise performance at Winners, not Losers, last week. He's got two big hits that you might recognize. There Was This Girl, and also Different Round Here, which now that you say that, I have heard that song. Green is planting his flag off Lower Broadway, just like Old Dominion, who is opening Odie's in partnership with Good Time Design at 1919 Division Street. I really think Odie's is a terrible name. If you're trying to get some type of brand awareness by partnering with a country music star, or I think Old Dominion is more of a country music band, I'm putting Old Dominion in the title. I'm not shorting it up to Odie's. I mean, the average person isn't that bright, y'all. Don't ask them to connect the dots on what you're trying to accomplish here. If you're trying to get some brand recognition out of Old Dominion and you're paying them a royalty to use their name, I'm putting Old Dominion right in that name. But again, no one asked me. Riley Green also was the 2020 ACM New Male Artist of the Year. Looks like a cool dude. I'm looking at a picture of him. Looks like a cool dude. I think we get along just fine. So congratulations to Riley Green for his new partnership. And the reality of those partnerships is, and I'm not sure if we've discussed this on the podcast or not, those are really licensing deals, right? So everybody thinks the artist whose name is on the building actually owns the business there, or owns a part of it. And generally speaking, that's not true. Those are licensing deals whereby the artist licenses his name and likeness to the owners of those bars. In exchange, gets paid a royalty, which is usually a percentage of revenue off of the top. And I knew a guy in the bar business that knew all of the ins and outs of it. And I can't remember all the details of what that royalty looked like. But if you see a country music star's name on a bar in Lower Broadway, it is very unlikely that he owns it. There's some exceptions like Garth Brooks. Most of the time, they've just licensed their name and they're getting a few percentage points of royalty right off the top. And when you calculate the numbers on what that really amounts to in that guy or gal's pocket, we're talking about millions of dollars a year just to license your name and put it on a single bar in Nashville. So it's a win-win situation for both the artist and the business owner, which is why you see it being replicated over and over and over. And you've got these tourists coming in from the countryside, right? I don't know if you've ever been to Broadway. There's not many city slickers down there. People are coming in from the country, and they're getting wasted, okay? And they are convinced that if they go into Garth Brooks' bar, maybe this is the day that Garth Brooks will be sitting there, and they get to see him, right? That's what the average person thinks. They're going to their favorite artist bar, and hopefully they're going to run into him, which never, ever happens. But nevertheless, that is the appeal. That's why they are driving so much traffic. That's why they're making so much money. That's why properties on Broadway are selling for over $1,000 a square foot, land selling for even more than that. It's because the country folks come to Nashville to party, and they're throwing money around trying to get as blackout drunk as they can possibly be. And then, of course, our police forces have to try to keep them from throwing themselves into the river. Sometimes they do better than other times. But that's the story, y'all. And I think I'm just going to cut it short there. I really don't have it in me to discuss politics today. I'm just so sickened by the state of affairs in this country and the idea that anyone would vote for the policies of Kamala Harris and not understanding the damage that would come as a result of that, not only to our society, our country, but to that individual in their pocketbook. It is just insanity, and I am so sick of it. If this election does not go Republican, I'm telling you, there are going to be pockets of civil war, and there is going to be an ongoing conversation about what red states want to leave this current union and what it would look like. And the wheels will be put in motion. And maybe if the fools in this country really vote in Kamala Harris, who's done nothing impressive in her life ever, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because that's how the red states really break free from a union of states that no longer serves it, a union of states that is a sinking ship, that is spending obscene amounts of money, that is printing obscene amounts of money, that is borrowing obscene amounts of money, which is devaluing its currency. It's losing its standing abroad. And we haven't even talked about all the unfunded liabilities, these liabilities that you look out forward, right? You project out forward what the government's expense liabilities are and what the government's income projections are, and it is impossible. It is impossible to cover the unfunded liabilities. And still, in their infinite wisdom, no one does anything about it. So perhaps if people are really dumb enough to vote in Kamala Harris this November, perhaps it's a blessing in disguise, and finally we can break free and get off of the sinking ship before it completely goes under the water. I'll leave it with that. Thanks so much, y'all, for tuning in. We'll have another show for you next week. Thanks so much.